We are back into the hottest show on the streets, In My Own Words, the podcast with yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Monday. And we go to the In My Own Words hotline right now where we're joined by my brother from another mother, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, who is consistently hard at work, Justin Smith. Justin, man, what's going on?
Everything's going pretty good, Steven.
That's good, man. Happy to have you on the line today. Well, Alabama, and you talked about it, Justin, when you were here in studio, a few shows back, to where at some point Alabama was going to get on, was going to have some momentum, create some momentum for this 2021 class. And last week it started to do that, landing two huge commitments, verbal commitments. One of those from three-star defensive lineman Anquan Barnes out of Lee High School in Montgomery. And then the very next day, which would have been Saturday, it brought in four-star wide receiver Ajay Hall out of Florida. How big was this for the Crimson Tide to get back-to-back commitments and trying to get this momentum started up for 2021?
Well, I feel it was very big for Alabama to get those two guys, especially trying to establish some momentum now that going back to when they just had one commit with Deontay Lawson's commitment to four-star linebacker from Mobile, Alabama. So I think it was huge for Alabama to build some momentum at this point. I felt like a couple of weeks ago that they had to do it. They had to just push some guys they really wanted to get those guys commitments, to get some momentum going for them on the recruiting trail. But as far as those guys go, picking up a commitment from an in-state kid like Anquan Barnes, a kid who Alabama offered on March 7th, and they kept in contact with them throughout that time. And he quickly rose to Alabama's recruiting board, a guy who stands at 6'5" and weighs 290 pounds, between 290 pounds and 300 pounds. So it was a huge pickup for Alabama to pick up Barnes, a gap filler. Not really the twitches or the quickest guy, but he's a guy who could really be a gap filler at the next level. I think the biggest get at the moment was Ajay Hall, the five-star wide receiver. We have him listed actually as a five-star on touchdownalabama.com at the moment. And I feel he's a five-star because I think this kid is a special talent. He's a long, athletic kid. But I think the more impressive thing about Ajay Hall is the fact that his speed is underrated. I think he's a very speedy kid, a guy with a lot of speed, a kid who can really make up a lot of speed and make up a lot of space in the open field. And I think he's really hard to contain in the open field. So getting those guys was huge for Alabama as far as building some momentum on the recruiting trail, as well as getting two guys who can really be assets at that next level.
Now, Justin, you watch film on all of these young athletes. You watch film, you're at the games, you're scouting, you're on the road. You are literally the boots on the ground in terms of recruiting. Now, when you watch the tape of Hall and Barnes, what do these two give Alabama? What do they bring the Crimson Tide just from watching the film?
Well, Anquan Barnes, I think he's a kid that will possibly need to develop some more. Of course, he's going to his senior season, so he's going to take a couple of more steps during his senior season at Robert Lee High School in Montgomery, Alabama. But I think he needs to improve on his speed and also add some more hand moves and more quickness to his game to be a more competitive defensive lineman at the next level. But as far as the Ajay Hall goes, I think he's one of those kids that could come in and make an immediate impact. He actually was going to play for IMG Academy for his senior season before he transferred to Bloomingdale High School. I think it would have been more beneficial for him to possibly play for IMG Academy so he could go against some of the top talent in the country. But he would play at Bloomingdale High School. But I still believe he possesses a unique skill set with this long frame and this ability to really make up space with that speed and that long stride that he has. But he's also very athletic, so he's one of those wide receivers that can make those acrobatic catches. So that's why I feel Alabama's getting in their last two commits, and Ajay Hall and Anquan Barnes.
Folks, if you're just tuning into In My Own Words, the podcast on a Monday, hottest show on the streets, we are joined via the hotline with Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, talking about this 2021 class. And Justin, who are the next marquee names, or who are the next names that down the line that Nick Saban and this coaching staff trying to attack and get? Who are the next names?
Well, the in-state kids that I've always talked about would definitely be on the table. Guys like four-star linebacker Ian Jackson, 4-star defensive tackle Tim Kennan, the 5-star athlete JaQuincy McKinstry, 4-star linebacker Jeremiah Williams. All of those in-state guys will definitely still be on Alabama's board. But as far as moving forward, some names to know, a name I would definitely want Alabama fans to know is Amarius Mims, a 5-star offensive lineman who Alabama is recruiting in the 2021 recruiting class. This is a kid who I think Ajay Hall is going to really go after on the recruiting trail. He has a relationship with Amarius Mims. Both of those guys attended the Future 50 Media Day event in Florida. They also participated in the Alabama Future 50 camp. So I think Ajay Hall will really help Alabama with Amarius Mims. Alabama has been building some momentum with him at the Under Armour Future 50 Media Day event. He did talk about Alabama being a huge player in his recruitment. He said he will announce his commitment on October 14th. He had the top 10, so I think Alabama will be in his recruitment throughout his recruitment at this point. So that's definitely a name to know. Another name I will keep an eye on is 3-star defensive end Darrell Peterson out of Akron, Ohio, by the way of Holband High School. Alabama actually pulled in a tight end from Holband High School and Caden Clark in the 2020 recruiting class, and I think they're going out there dealing Peterson pretty hard. He told me that Alabama's been in contact with them pretty much every other day throughout this recruiting dead period. Although he's rated as a 3-star recruit, this is a kid who had 21 tackles during his junior season, so he's not really a scrub, not really a kid that stands up to that 3-star rating. I think as his senior season comes up, I think he's going to make that jump and become a 4-star on most recruiting sites. So those are two names I'll definitely keep an eye on, and especially the guys in state that I mentioned.
Now, Justin, when I talk to people just around about in terms of, these young athletes, a name that always comes up is JaQuincy McKinstry's name. What makes him special? People look at him, of course, you have him as one of the best in-state players in this class, if not the best in-state player in this recruiting cycle. What stands out? What makes McKinstry as talented as he is?
I mean, he's just naturally athletic. When you see this kid, you just see an athletic guy because he just jumps out on film. He jumps out in the game. He's just one of those kids that have a natural ability to get the football in his hands. He knows how to judge the football from the offensive side of the ball. He's an aggressive guy on the defensive side of the ball, and his skill set actually translates to the basketball court. You see him on the basketball court. He's going down the court on fast break, making those acrobatic dunks. He's making those hard drives to the lane and scoring a basket in traffic. So he's a kid who's just naturally athletic. That's one of the things that really comes out to me. And as I said in the past, I feel that McKinstry is actually one of the best athletes the state of Alabama has ever produced. I think he's just such a talented kid, and I think it's something that really is going to translate to the next level. And this is something that a lot of schools are seeing, so they're trying to offer him in both sports, making sure that they're going to have him at the next level. So I feel JaQuincy McKinstry is definitely that talented.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in to In My Own Words, the podcast on a Monday, we're joined live by Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama magazine, just breaking down this 2021 recruiting class, recruiting cycle. Justin, aside from McKinstry, who else would you say is a must get? Alabama has to get this guy. If the Tide doesn't get this guy, it could lead to some negative repercussions. Who would be the must get guys?
Well, I think it's hard to find a must get guy for Alabama because they have so many targets on the board. I don't think any guy at the moment is a must get, but a guy who I feel Alabama would most likely would love to get on their 2021 recruiting class is Tim Kennan. He's a guy I will bring up. He's a 4-star defensive tackle out of Ramsey High School in Birmingham, Alabama. I think this kid is a unique talent. He has a similar frame to Alabama's newest commitment, Anquan Barnes. Not really taller than Anquan Barnes, but he weighs about 300 pounds. But he's the guy who possesses that. He's the guy who possesses that speed and that quickness that you want to see out of a defensive lineman in the game today. He also has a wide range of hand moves that is added to his wide range of moves he can do that's in his repertoire at the defensive line position. So I think Tim Kennan is a guy Alabama would really like to get in the 2021 recruiting class, especially with him being an in-state kid.
When you look at this Alabama coaching staff, Justin, full of big-time recruiters, when you discuss guys like Jeff Banks, guys like Freddie Roach, Charles Kelly, Carl Scott, among others, but just looking at Roach, Kelly, Jeff Banks, and also Pete Golding, who had the little strong emoji on Twitter today in terms of recruiting. When you talk to a lot of these athletes, how do they feel about the coaching staff, and their styles of recruiting? Who do they look at as the best recruiter possibly on the staff?
Well, I know for Pete Golding, he really has a huge impact on the Louisiana kids. I know a lot of those guys who I've talked to in the past, they always talked about Pete Golding being their guy with that Louisiana connection. So he has a huge connection to the state of Louisiana. Carl Scott is a name that comes up a lot because of his because of the way he recruits. A lot of recruits say he always tells them the truth, and as you guys can see, he has had a lot of success on the recruiting trail for Alabama. Jeff Banks is a name that comes up a lot, especially with them recruiting the state of Texas very hard. And a lot of recruits have talked about Jeff Banks having that same honesty level as Carl Scott, and Jeff Banks being the guy that they really can trust, and Jeff Banks being the guy that they really get to build a relationship with. So I think Jeff Banks, Carl Scott are among Alabama's best recruiters at the moment, based on Alabama's current coaching staff. But I think Freddie Roach is making his mark, leaving his mark on Alabama's recruiting efforts. A lot of recruits are starting to talk about him, especially defensive linemen, saying that he's the guy that they really like. So I think Freddie Roach is starting to make a move as well.
He's Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming on here on a Monday to talk about the 2021 recruiting class as Alabama starting to create some momentum. Justin, be good out there. Be safe. We appreciate you for coming on to drop the knowledge, drop the nuggets of wisdom on what's going on in the recruiting cycle. We're going to have you back on soon, man. Be good.
You do the same, Steve.
Always awesome to have Justin Smith on just to talk about Alabama Crimson Tide recruiting. Give him a follow on Twitter. Also, follow his show on YouTube, The Process, which comes out every Tuesday and Thursday as he dives into the nuts and bolts of Crimson Tide recruiting. We're going to go to our next break here on In My Own Words, the podcast. Don't touch that dial when we return back to the phone lines and your tweets, thoughts, text messages, and concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Make sure to subscribe before it's too late and get our new freshly printed end of the year magazine issue. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in the Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.